we can do it, so we can get where we want to go, then we got to learn it if we don't, you see. And we got to keep that goal upmost in mind so that it can always help us to get back on task. You see? But you see, if you have no goals other than going to work, eating something, and drinking beer, getting sex, then no wonder you can't think. There's no need for thinking and developing thinking skills. If you're addicted to sex and drugs, what you need to think for? Yeah. If you're satisfied working for a white man on a low-wage job, even a high-wage job, what do you need to think about how to create employment for yourself? How different, I tell people, when we see people go to school, we all go to school with one assumption, that the white man's got jobs out here for us, and all we need to do is qualify for it. But the white man doesn't have the jobs out here for us, and he hardly has the job for himself. How different would our education be if we went to school to learn to create jobs for ourselves? How different would our curriculum be if the purpose for our going to school was not to work for white folk, but to work for ourselves and to create jobs for ourselves and to create wealth for ourselves? How different the content of courses would be that we take and so forth. You say, it's not about lowering standards. It's not about changing standards and the way these people talk about it.
Teach.
You see, it's about building up the appropriate standard. It's not about unequal education. It's about what? Appropriate education. It's about looking at the goals of your nation and looking at the goals of your community and deciding what kind of education you need in order to achieve those goals. But the kind of education we're getting today has the goal of working for white people and forever being the white man's servant and slave in some form or another. And therefore we get a servant's education and a slave's education. And when he has no need for further servants or slaves, he doesn't educate us at all. And that's what's going on at this point. Because now he's hiring across the world. Now he imports the workers that he needs. And consequently, he's disinvesting the education of black people in America. And consequently, if you do not engage in the education of yourself and determine what your education is, if we are not engaging our children to make their own job and to make their own world, we are not going to be around much longer as a people. This is what this is about. So then how does this man falsify the consciousness of our people? Falsify it in three ways, Gabe. You can falsify it by giving people false contents, false history, false knowledge, irrelevant knowledge. You see, since we say that consciousness contains that, doesn't it? Yes. So even if you can think well, even if you have the capacity for great logical thinking and analytical thinking, if you are using and applying those thinking processes to false information, you're still going to come out to a false end. Okay? And so therefore, one of the first ways our consciousness is falsified is that we fill our minds with irrelevant knowledge or no knowledge at all, or false knowledge, false beliefs, false wishes, all kinds of fantasies. We're going to live together in a raceless world. We're going to live together in a classless world. Negroes sitting around waiting for the classless society to occur. Waiting around when all people are going to live as one. You keep waiting. You won't be here to see it. Oh, we may get a raceless society one day, but you might not be one of the races enjoying it. Yeah. But when you have that kind of fantasy, and that fantasy fills your head, when you think that the thing that's going to solve all the problems is that people love one another, you know, that they respect one another. You get a lot of preaching on Negroes on that behalf. Some of these public intellectuals. We must respect the humanity in each other. What the hell does that mean? How does that feed anybody? How does that employ anybody? You got some Negroes who engage in magical thinking. They think that if they teach their children to love all people, you know, I don't teach my children about color. I teach them to love and respect all people. And not to see color. Well, that's nice. Now that's wonderful. But tell me that this, are the other people teaching their children this? Huh? How is teaching your child this going to protect it against the people who hate you? Do you think by teaching yourself this, by some magic osmosis, other people are going to achieve the same consciousness? You're out of your mind. And yet we get something like people who think that. So they sit around the weakest of people, the most downtrodden of people, teaching their people how to love their enemies. And then wonder why they catch hell at every turn. Yeah, you can do that if you're willing to be dead and let people just run over you in the end. And if someone has convinced you that that's the essence of religious life, fine, it's all right. But I'm telling you, you see, we got a lot of people who caught up in that thing. So therefore, our masters will put that kind of religion into us, you see, and they will see that as the essence of religion. I've told you many times that the major problem out here, the reasons why our children are where they are, is the result of law-abiding, church-going Negroes. Yeah. And it's not the children and the youth who are the greatest criminal threat to the black community. It's law-abiding Negroes. It's Negroes who believe this white propaganda and this falsified religion. Yeah, who can't see color, and therefore they can't see their own colored children. Yeah. Who in their efforts to be sanctimonious and good create evil. Yeah. Because someone told them being good is giving these other people who got more money than they know what to do with their money while they rob their own children. And then they wonder why they fear them as they walk down the streets. Who told them love means giving the Koreans all of your money and supporting their children and keeping them out of crime while you're on the street and you need the jobs and the need of being cared for. But someone has convinced you that love means to ignore your own children and love someone else's children better than your own. And you feel holy, you feel good when you do it. Someone has made you feel guilty when you concentrate your attention on your own children. Someone has told you to love everybody, and you're so busy loving everybody you can't get around to loving yourself. You can't get around to loving your own. How is it there are people filled with self-hatred and have not come to love themselves can appropriately love any other people? And yet we are asking the very people who've been most psychologically abused and destroyed to carry the whole world on their shoulders and to become the universal saviors of mankind. We got some joke out here talking about the universal values of Islam. You're going to save the world. The Arabs don't need you to save them, Negro. The Chinese is not asking for a Negro to come over there and save China. The Frenchman is not asking Negroes to come over there and save them. Why did you get into this business? It's your business to save the world. And that's why you can't do anything for yourself, because you're too busy doing it for everybody else. You're too busy loving everybody. You can't even see the love that your own people need and your own children need. And you can't see that your people need more love than any other people here on earth. Yeah. Let me tell you something. Before you save the universe, before you slave and love all people, love your next door neighbor. Save a black neighborhood. Save black people. And if you can demonstrate that you can save black people, that you can save your next door neighbor, that you can save your family, that you can save your son, then maybe the world will be ready to listen to you and ask for your help. But you got a bunch of Negroes who walk around here and haven't demonstrated their capacity to save anybody. And are talking about universal love, and we're talking about universal values. What the hell does that mean?